My mom's text woke me at 3 a.m. Your stepfather isn't who he says he is. Get your brother out now. I didn't hesitate. The phone screen lit up my bedroom ceiling with cold blue light, and I read the message 3 times before my brain accepted what my eyes were seeing. Mom had been on a nursing shift at the hospital since yesterday afternoon, wouldn't be home until 7 this morning, and she never texted during work unless someone was dying. I was 19 and home from college for winter break, old enough to recognize when adults were overreacting versus when they were operating from genuine terror. My stepfather Greg had been part of our lives for 3 years, married to Mom for 18 months, and he'd always seemed aggressively normal in ways that made me vaguely uncomfortable without being able to articulate why. I threw off my blankets and grabbed jeans from the floor, pulling them on while my mind raced through possibilities for what Mom could have discovered. I shoved my feet into sneakers without tying them and grabbed my phone charger and wallet, operating on instinct that told me we wouldn't be coming back here tonight. My brother Caleb was 14 and slept like the dead, completely undisturbed by my frantic movement across the hallway. I eased his door open and found him buried under his comforter with headphones still in his ears, his phone screen casting a faint glow across his face. Waking Caleb quietly was nearly impossible under normal circumstances, but waking him with urgency while keeping him silent would require strategy I wasn't sure I possessed. I pulled one earbud out carefully and shook his shoulder, watching his eyes crack open with glazed confusion. Before he could speak, I put my hand over his mouth and leaned close to whisper directly into his ear. Mom sent an emergency message about Greg. We need to leave the house right now without him knowing. I'll explain everything once we're safe, but you have to trust me and stay completely silent. Caleb's eyes went wide with sudden alertness, and he nodded against my palm. I released his mouth and handed him clothes from his closet, jeans and a hoodie that he pulled on over his sleep shirt with shaking hands. Greg's bedroom was downstairs at the end of the hallway near the back door, positioned so he could hear anyone coming or going, which I'd previously attributed to his security guard instincts rather than anything sinister. But now that detail took on new meaning, suggested someone who monitored the household with professional vigilance rather than normal parental awareness. The house was a split level built in the 80s with bedrooms upstairs and living spaces on the main floor, which meant getting Caleb out required navigating stairs that creaked on every third step. My window faced the street with a drop onto concrete sidewalk that would definitely injure one or both of us, but Caleb's window looked out onto the back deck with a much shorter fall to grass. I pointed at his window and he nodded understanding, moving to open it with agonizing slowness while I stuffed his laptop and phone charger into my backpack. The window screen popped free with a soft click that sounded explosively loud in the silent house, and we both froze, listening for movement from downstairs. Nothing stirred for 10 seconds that felt like 10 minutes, and I gestured for Caleb to climb through first. He hesitated at the window ledge, looking down at the 8-foot drop to the deck below with visible reluctance. I gripped his wrist and lowered him as far as my arms would reach before letting go, and he landed with a thump that made me wince. I followed immediately, dropping and rolling to absorb impact, my shoulder connecting hard with the deck railing. Caleb was already moving toward the stairs that led down to the backyard, and I grabbed his arm to stop him, pointing instead toward the fence that separated our property from the neighbor's house. Climbing the fence would be quieter than descending the deck stairs, which were metal and would ring with every footstep. We scaled the 6-foot privacy fence together, Caleb boosting me first before I reached down to help pull him up and over. We dropped into the neighbor's yard and ran through their garden beds, crushing flowers that would probably get us yelled at under normal circumstances. We emerged onto a side street 3 blocks from our house, both of us breathing hard and looking back constantly to see if Greg had followed. No lights came on in our house. No figure appeared in the windows, which either meant he was still asleep or he was awake and choosing not to pursue us for reasons I couldn't begin to guess. I pulled out my phone to call Mom directly, needing more information than 3 sentences could provide, but her phone went straight to voicemail. I tried texting instead, telling her we'd gotten out safely and asking where we should go, but the message showed as delivered without being read. Caleb was pulling on my jacket sleeve and demanding explanations I didn't have, his voice rising toward panic in a way that would definitely attract attention. I showed him Mom's original text and watched his face go through confusion, disbelief, and finally fear as the implications registered. What does she mean he's not who he says he is? What did she find out? His questions were the same ones spinning through my head, but I had no answers that wouldn't be speculation. All I knew was that Mom had discovered something serious enough to warrant evacuation in the middle of the night, and her phrasing suggested Greg represented immediate danger. We were standing on a residential street at 3 in the morning with nowhere to go and no way to contact the one person who'd warned us to run. My phone buzzed with a new text, this time from Greg's number. That's when things got out of control.